Hello, happy Sunday evening. I am signing on for a few minutes this evening to continue my Life Untapped storytelling series, and I hope you'll spend a few minutes with me even though you might be having a busy Sunday evening. This is the fourth video installment for me. The first one we talked about having the courage to step outside of your comfort zone. In the second video, about 4 weeks ago, we talked a little bit about why it's important to craft a personal mission statement. What's your why? And then 2 weeks ago, two Sunday evenings ago when I posted, we talked about why it's important to trust yourself, trust those inner thoughts, passions, goals, desires, that inner voice speaking to you so you can authentically live your life. Well, tonight I wanted to talk with you a little bit about what it means to share what some people call your vulnerable places, your dip. Lisa Nichols, who's a motivational speaker, she calls it sharing your dip. Brene Brown talks about being authentically vulnerable and imperfect. But really, it's taking the time to share with other people who are on the path behind you where you are going and how you're going to get there. Now, you may be asking yourself, what does this have to do with living a life untapped? What does this have to do with writing? Because this series is about storytelling and writing. Well, I think it has a lot to do with that because if you are a writer, you need to be crafting, if you're writing fiction, you need to be crafting characters who are willing to be vulnerable, who are showing their flaws, who are showing the readers how you go from A to Z and everything in between. The same thing if you're journaling, if you're telling your personal story, if there's a journal you're writing that someday you may want to leave to your grandchildren or others in your family to read about your journey through life and why you accomplished the things you did, it's very important to tell them about the tough times too, about the times when you stumbled, about the times when you took 3 steps back before you made that leap forward, because that's what will empower them. And the reason I thought about that is because, we've been talking a lot just about what it means to be successful in the writing. Just in general, a lot of my posts are very positive on my Facebook page and on my other social media. I post a lot of positive messages about living your best life or becoming a better you, things of that nature. But we don't always talk about the journey there. And we applaud each other for the successes, but we don't always share those stumbling blocks or those issues that we face. And it made me think today, as I was thinking about what I wanted to share with you, it made me think about a time probably about 10 or 15 years ago. I was invited to speak to a class of students at a local university. They were mass communications journalism students. And I kind of had this great bio. The professor who invited me shared with them that I was a reporter at the local newspaper. And at that time, I believe I had written about 2 or 3 books. And, I was doing all this other stuff. And he talked about when I was in college and when I was a mass communications student and I interned at USA Today and I spent the summer out in Albuquerque and all these things I had done. And a lot of the students at the Q&A period, they asked me questions about what that experience was like, what did I learn, what did my mentors teach me, things of that nature. And one student I will never forget, in the middle of the Q&A, raised his hand and he said to me, well, what did you do wrong? Where did you make mistakes? When did you stumble? And I paused because I had not been asked that before in this type of setting. And I thought, wow, what a really, really powerful question. Because that is where that student and probably the other students in the room, that was the place where if I shared that with them, they could avoid those same stumbling blocks. They could avoid maybe some of those same pitfalls and learn and grow through those things. And so I share that with you this evening as we talk about, journaling or writing and other formats or just even verbally sharing your story with others, where however you are successful in life, whenever you're invited to share your story with others, perhaps consider finding the courage to talk about those times when you've made a misstep or a mistake or you haven't quite gotten it right or you thought you were going down the right path and you had to backtrack and go down another path. Because as those students taught me that day, that's what lights a fire under them. That's what not only inspires them, but also empowers them. So in your fiction, find those characters. For me, I can think of multiple characters, but one in particular would be Aunt Melba from my Jubilant Soul series. She's a fabulous hair salon owner. She's doing her thing, and she sees her niece, Rochelle, who's the main character of the Someday list, about to make a really, really bad choice. And so Aunt Melba takes the time to pull her aside and say, you know what, I made that same bad choice about so many years ago, and I don't want to see you going down the same path. And Rochelle was shocked because she never would have thought that about her aunt. And again, as I said, the same thing in your journaling. Leave that trail so people can see where you've grown from, or in your conversations, especially with younger people. Be willing to share your journey. Be willing to share that dip or that vulnerable place, or that place where you know that you have triumphed over something, because again, you'll help the next person who asks you the question, or someone who may be watching you and not even asking. You'll help that person triumph as well. So if you are a writer, I invite you to consider joining my Focus Writers Mentors group. You can do that by visiting my website, authorinu.com. If you just are a reader interested in reading some of my books, please check out stacyhawkinsadams.com. And of course, my blog, for which this series is named, is lifeuntapped.com. And on that blog, you'll find some of my own writings, but also the stories and journeys of other women, especially in the section called Her Story. So please check that out. Thank you for watching. I see a lot of you there. Hi, Alma. Hi, Fatina. Thank you all for tuning in on a Sunday night. Just wanted to share with you again, be sure to be authentic in all ways. The things we've talked about still matter prior. Find the courage to step outside of your comfort zone. Consider writing a personal mission statement for yourself. Trust yourself and the dreams that are in your heart. And on that path to success, be willing to share with those around you, or if one-on-one, whatever feels most comfortable, those times when you've had to triumph over a challenge and how that's made you stronger. And in future videos, perhaps I'll share some of those things on my own journey with you. I don't want to take too much time away tonight, but I'll be sure to share some of that so as we go forward, we can, with courage together, find ways to tell our story. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and have a life untapped this week.